I stand frozen in the hallway of my childhood home, watching as Dad claps my brother Austin on the shoulder. His face glows with pride. Assistant Regional Manager. That's my boy. Dad beams. Always knew you'd climb that corporate ladder. Austin grins, basking in the attention like a cat in sunshine. It's just a small promotion, Dad. Not that big a deal. Nonsense. Dad pulls him into a bear hug. This calls for champagne. Martha, where's that bottle we've been saving? My carefully prepared portfolio slides from my trembling fingers. Pages of business plans, projections, and client testimonials scatter across the hardwood floor, the sound of settling paper drowned by my family's congratulatory chatter. I've spent 2 years away building something from nothing, and this homecoming dinner was supposed to be my moment. No one notices the papers. No one notices me. Tanner, my other brother, joins the celebration, offering Austin a fist bump. Way to go, bro. Regional Assistant Manager. Assistant Regional Manager, Austin corrects, laughing. Dad catches my eye across the room. For a fleeting second, I think he might acknowledge me. Instead, he looks through me like I'm made of glass before turning back to his sons. The weight of invisibility presses down on my shoulders, as familiar as an old sweater worn thin at the elbows. It reminds me of my 12th birthday. I'd spent weeks crafting a special card for Dad, watercoloring his favorite fishing spot and writing a poem inside about how he'd taught me patience. When I presented it, he set it aside without opening it, distracted by Austin's store-bought card with a cartoon fish that sang when you opened it. Now that's creative. Dad had laughed, playing the singing card 3 times while mine sat forgotten. Mom had squeezed my shoulder later. Your father just doesn't understand creative things, honey, she'd whispered, as if that explained everything. The pattern continued through high school. My brothers brought home B grades to thunderous praise, while my straight A's collected dust in my desk drawer. Academic excellence was expected from me, not celebrated. I take a deep breath and step into the dining room. The table is set with Mom's good china, a celebration spread waiting for us. I slip into a chair, straightening my blouse. So I started my own company, I say quietly, interrupting Austin's story about office politics. Conversation stutters to a halt. Dad's laugh breaks the silence. She still doing that artsy-techy thing? He chuckles, reaching for his wine. Stick with your hobbies, sweetheart. Leave the business world to your brothers. My hands tremble beneath the table. I curl them into fists, digging nails into my palms until the shaking stops. The familiar sting of dismissal burns, but something else rises to meet it, a cool certainty that settles in my chest. This will be the last time I seek his approval. This will be the last time I make myself small to fit in this house. Actually, Tanner, Mom says, rescuing the conversation with practiced ease, tell us about that coaching position you're interviewing for. Just like that, my announcement evaporates like morning dew. Tanner launches into a story about his potential high school coaching career while Dad nods enthusiastically. Austin adds commentary about sports management. Mom serves another helping of potatoes. My existence recedes from the room's awareness, a tide pulling back from shore. I watch them, really seeing the pattern for the first time. Dad at the head of the table, commanding attention. Mom orbiting him like a dutiful satellite. My brothers competing for the spotlight. And me, the planet they've all agreed to ignore. Every moment I spend here chips away at something vital inside me. Every dinner like this erodes my sense of self, my certainty in my own worth. The realization is both terrifying and freeing. I need to head out early, I say, standing. No one pauses their conversation except my niece, Austin's 6-year-old daughter, who looks up from her plate with curious eyes. I meet her gaze and see something unexpected reflected their recognition. She sees me. As I gather my scattered portfolio from the floor, I straighten my shoulders. Let them talk. Let them celebrate Austin's stepping stone while ignoring my mountain climb. Their validation isn't the oxygen I need to breathe anymore. Later that evening, the family computer hums quietly in Dad's home office. I've been asked to print some tax forms while visiting. A mundane task until the screen flickers to life, revealing Dad's email left open. My fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to close it, when a subject line catches my eye. Sierra's scholarship. My name. My accomplishment. I click before I can stop myself. Don't make a big deal about Sierra's scholarship thing. Dad wrote to Mom. It's just typical women's studies nonsense. Nothing like Austin's business internship last summer. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. I grab the edge of the desk, my stomach churning as I scroll through more emails. No need to drive 4 hours for Sierra's graduation ceremony. Austin has that baseball tournament, and those are the memories that matter. My fingers tremble as I navigate through folder after folder. Not just dismissal, active undermining. Years of it. My graduation. My first startup funding. My industry award. The physical evidence of what I'd only suspected hits like a punch to the sternum. I wasn't just overlooked. I was deliberately diminished. My USB drive sits in my pocket like a talisman. Without hesitation, I plug it in and begin copying the evidence of my erasure. The progress bar creeps forward, while my resolve hardens like concrete setting. The next day, the morning sunlight streams through the kitchen windows as I take my assigned seat at breakfast. Not at the main table with Dad at the head, Mom bustling around serving everyone, and my brothers lounging in adult chairs. Despite being 29, I'm relegated to the small table in the corner, ostensibly to keep an eye on Austin's daughter, though she's perfectly capable of eating cereal without supervision. I was reading about these tech startups that help charities or something. Dad mentions between bites of toast. Probably just flash-in-the-pan businesses, but the concept isn't terrible. My spine stiffens. He's describing Lexora Systems, my company, the one I built from nothing while working 2 jobs. The one that now employs 27 people. Sounds like one of Sierra's cute little projects. Austin chuckles, not bothering to look in my direction. Tanner nods. Remember that app thing she was working on in college? Whatever happened with that? It became a 7-figure business. I say quietly, but Mom is running the disposal and no one hears me. Dad continues. Speaking of tech companies, I recommended Austin for that systems analyst position at Bancroft. They're looking for someone with real business sense, not just computer skills. My coffee cup freezes halfway to my lips. Bancroft Tech, the same company I've been negotiating with for a potential partnership. The same company whose acquisition has been my strategic goal for the past 18 months. Mom's eyes dart nervously between Dad and me. She knows. Her guilty glance confirms she's aware of my business plans, yet said nothing when Dad pushed Austin toward the same company. The realization crashes over me like winter waves. If Dad discovers I'm behind the Bancroft negotiations before the deal closes, he'll sabotage it intentionally or not. Everything I've built as Sierra Wells would be undermined the moment the Carter connection becomes known. I consider walking away from the deal altogether. Finding another acquisition target would mean starting over, but at least it would be clean, simple. Then Dad's phone rings. He answers with his booming business voice. Absolutely, Jim. No, that diversity hire program is just for show. Between us, women in tech are mostly there to check boxes. Real innovation comes from men who understand the industry. I grip my spoon so tightly the metal edge cuts into my palm. If this is how he speaks about women and technology in general, what would he do if he knew his own daughter was positioning to acquire his company? 3 hours later, I sit across from Vanessa, my venture capital partner, in a coffee shop 10 miles from my parents' house. We can accelerate the timeline, she confirms, studying the revised acquisition paperwork. If your father's position at Bancroft concerns you, we need to move fast. I exhale slowly, victory within reach. Do it. Let's close before he can interfere. As I drive back to my hotel that night, I wonder if I should tell my father about my plans immediately and give him a chance to make amends, or proceed with the acquisition without warning. Confronting him might bring closure, but silence would ensure the success of everything I'd built. Would you choose emotional resolution or professional security when the two cannot coexist? The flash drive weighs heavy in my pocket. Years of dismissal captured in megabytes of evidence. My decision crystallizes with each mile marker I pass. Sometimes silence is the most powerful move in the game. On the promotion celebration day, I stand frozen at the edge of my parents' backyard, watching my father hold court beneath the pergola. He gestures expansively, his voice carrying across the manicured lawn. Executive Vice President? Dad announces to the assembled family members, thumping his chest like a gorilla claiming territory. After 20 years at Bancroft Tech, they finally recognized what I bring to the table. Aunts and uncles murmur appropriate congratulations. My mother beams from beside him, the dutiful satellite in his orbit. I force myself to step forward, my heels sinking slightly into the soft grass. That's wonderful news, Dad, I say, offering the expected response. He barely glances my way. Thanks, sweetheart. Then turning back to his audience. The best part is the executive housing program. They're transferring the deed of our home to company ownership. No more mortgage payments. Austin raises his beer bottle in salute. To the perks of corporate success. Mom sidles next to me, her voice dropping to a whisper. You know, your father could put in a good word for you at Bancroft. They always need accountants. Something stable, with benefits. I take a careful sip of my sparkling water. I have a job, Mom. Playing with computers isn't the same as a career, dear. Before I can respond, Dad's booming laugh cuts through the conversation. He's looking at me now, addressing Uncle Frank. Sierra's still tinkering with that little computer hobby of hers. What was it again? Making websites for charities? Software platforms for nonprofit management. I correct, my voice steadier than my pulse. Dad winks at Uncle Frank. See what I mean? Always been a dreamer, this one. The familiar sting spreads across my chest, but underneath it, something hardens. I think of the acquisition paperwork waiting in my hotel room, the signatures that will make Bancroft Tech mine. I excuse myself, retreating to the quiet of the guest bathroom. My phone buzzes with a text from Thomas, my lawyer. Wells Acquisition Corp paperwork complete. Need your signature by Wednesday to maintain timeline. The walls of my parents' house suddenly feel like they're closing in. I splash cold water on my face and stare at my reflection. The woman looking back at me isn't the invisible daughter anymore. She's the CEO who will own her father's company in less than 2 weeks. Back in my hotel room, I work through the night, reviewing contracts line by line. The air conditioning hums as I highlight clauses, make notes, and prepare counter-proposals. My eyes burn, but I push forward. Every signature brings me closer to the moment when my father will finally see me. My phone rings at 2 a.m. Dad's face appears on the screen. My stomach lurches as I answer. Sierra, why aren't you staying at the house? His voice sounds thick with whiskey. Hotel was more convenient. I lie, my heart hammering. I have early meetings. With who? Those charity folks again? I swallow hard. Something like that. Your mother wanted you to know Austin's daughter is having her birthday party Saturday. She's expecting her aunt to be there. Guilt twists inside me. I have to fly to Chicago tomorrow. I won't be back until next week. Always busy with that hobby of yours, he sighs. One day you'll realize family matters more than playing entrepreneur. After he hangs up, I stare at the ceiling, anxiety crawling up my throat like acid. What if he discovers who's behind the Bancroft acquisition before everything's finalized? My VC partner warned me yesterday. If Mark Carter figures out you're Sierra Wells, he could leverage his position to block the deal. I reach for my leather-bound journal labeled Silent Victory and document tonight's conversation, just as I've recorded every dismissal, every slight, every undermining comment for the past 2 years. Evidence of a pattern I'm about to permanently disrupt. Morning comes too quickly. I shower, dress, and meet Rebecca at the coffee shop across from the hotel. Her usual punctuality is a comfort in the chaos of these final days. She hands me a cup with a knowing smile. I look down to see CEO Wells written in her neat handwriting on the side. For what it's worth, she whispers, leaning close. Your father's company never saw you coming. For the first time in days, I allow myself a genuine smile. That afternoon, my mother calls. I'm alone in my apartment, surrounded by packing boxes. I've barely started settling in, and soon I'll be relocating to the executive offices at Bancroft. Sierra, Father's Day dinner is next Sunday. She begins without preamble. Your father specifically asked if you'd be there. Is that so? I fold a cashmere sweater with precise corners. He was just saying yesterday how disappointed he is that you never amounted to anything like your brothers. The sweater slips from my fingers. Was he? You know how he gets when he's been drinking. He doesn't mean it. Tell him I'll be there, I say, my voice calm despite the storm inside me. I have something important to share. That's wonderful, honey. Austin just got the Miller account at work, and Tanner's been offered the head coaching position at... I have to go, Mom. I end the call, cutting her off mid-sentence. Standing alone in my half-furnished apartment, I catch my reflection in the window. For the first time, I truly see myself. Not the invisible daughter seeking validation, but a woman who built something substantial without anyone's permission. I don't need my father's approval anymore. I just need his attention. And soon, I'll have it. The weekend passes in a blur of activity. Rebecca cancels her plans to help finalize the acquisition paperwork. My VC partner sends hourly updates from Chicago, where he's meeting with the Bancroft board. While my family enjoys their regular Sunday brunch, I'm orchestrating the takeover of their livelihood. We close the funding gap. Rebecca announces late Sunday night, her face tired but triumphant on my laptop screen. The investors were impressed with Q2 projections. They should be, my VC partner adds. Lexora's growth outpaced every competitor in the sector. Your father might not recognize your achievement, but the market certainly does. Thomas joins the call with his own update. I've reviewed the property deeds for the executive homes. They'll transfer with the company as expected. Including my parents' house? I confirm. Thomas nods. As of next week, you'll own the roof over your father's head. I thank them all for their dedication, for believing in me when my own family wouldn't. After the call ends, I notice something has changed in how I hold myself. My shoulders are squared, my gaze direct. I speak without the questioning lilt that plagued me throughout childhood. Monday morning, I prepare the final piece of my plan. Legal documents transferring ownership, sealed in a black envelope with my father's name written in silver ink. Tucked inside is a copy of his executive contract, with the termination clause highlighted. Employment may be terminated immediately upon change of ownership. My father built his career on overlooking me. Now I hold his career in my hands. Sunday arrives with clear skies and a gentle breeze. I park my newly leased Tesla Model S at the curb outside my parents' home, its matte gray finish drawing immediate attention. Through the living room window, I watch Austin do a double take, nudging Tanner and pointing. I gather the black envelope from the passenger seat and step out of the car, heels clicking purposefully on the walkway. The invisible daughter has arrived, and this time, everyone will see me. I walk into my parents' dining room with calculated precision, like a chess master approaching the board. My charcoal suit, tailored to emphasize authority rather than femininity, feels like armor. The small silver Lexora pin gleams on my lapel, a quiet declaration of identity most of them will overlook. Dad holds court at the head of the table, Austin and Tanner flanking him like loyal lieutenants. Mom flutters between kitchen and dining room, a perpetual motion machine of accommodation. Sierra finally decided to join us, Dad says without looking up from carving the roast. I take my place silently, observing how conversation flows around me like water around a stone. The familiar dynamic unfolds with practiced precision. Dad speaks. Everyone leans in. Austin mentions workplace politics. Tanner discusses local sports teams. Mom refills drinks. No one asks about my 2-year absence. When Austin mentions his promotion for the 3rd time, I methodically redirect. Tanner, how's the coaching position looking? I ask, making deliberate eye contact. He blinks, surprised at my engagement. Good. Interview next week. Dad clears his throat. Speaking of careers, big changes at Bancroft Tech. The board approved my executive promotion yesterday. Perfect timing. I reach into my jacket pocket and slide my business card onto the table, positioning it directly in Dad's line of sight. Congratulations, I say. Interesting coincidence, I've been working with Bancroft myself. Dad glances down, his eyebrows knit together as he registers the name. Sierra Wells, CEO, Lexora Systems. Wells? He asks, confusion momentarily cracking his confident facade. Professional name, I reply, voice level. For the past 2 years. Before he can process this, Austin jumps in. Let's talk about something important, my new condo. Dad helped me secure it through the executive housing program. My niece Lily, who's been quietly coloring beside her father, looks up. Why does Grandpa always ignore Aunt Sierra when she talks? The table falls silent. 6-year-old perception, unfiltered and devastating. Dad forces a laugh. What? I never ignore Sierra. I've always supported her little projects. Actually, I say, reaching for my portfolio, I have copies of some interesting emails I found. I withdraw several pages, sliding them across the table. These are messages you sent to various family members about my career. Dad's face pales as he recognizes his own words on the page. From Mark Carter. Subject: Sierra's business. Don't encourage her startup nonsense. She needs a real job with structure, not these artsy tech fantasies. Women don't succeed in tech without connections. Austin and Tanner lean over to read, eyes widening. Mom drops a serving spoon with a clatter. These are taken out of context, Dad sputters. There are 17 more pages, I say calmly, each more dismissive than the last. The silence that follows feels like a physical presence, heavy and uncomfortable. Dad shifts in his seat, eyes darting between the emails and my face as though seeing me clearly for the first time. With my father squirming under the weight of his exposed behavior, I hesitated. Should I present the ownership documents immediately, or allow this moment of realization to settle in first? Would immediate revelation be more satisfying, or would patience make the lesson more profound? My phone vibrates with a text from Rebecca. Acquisition complete. All paperwork filed. Congratulations, CEO Wells. Seconds later, another notification appears in email from Thomas with electronic verification that all property deeds have transferred, including the executive homes. The timing couldn't be more perfect. The landline phone rings, startling everyone. Mom reaches for it automatically. Carter residence. She answers, then frowns. Yes, she's here. One moment. She holds out the receiver. Sierra, it's for you. Someone asking for Miss Wells, the new owner of Bancroft Tech? Dad's face drains of color. What? I take the phone, pressing the speaker button. This is Sierra Wells. Miss Wells, Jonathan Mercer, congratulations on finalizing the Bancroft acquisition. The board is thrilled with your vision for integrating Lexora's nonprofit solutions with our enterprise infrastructure. I watch my father's expression cycle through confusion, disbelief, and dawning horror as the realization hits him. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm actually with my family now, including Mark Carter. A pause on the line. Oh, Mark's your father? That wasn't in our records. Well, excellent. He'll be valuable during the transition, I'm sure. We'll discuss transition details Monday, I reply. Thank you for calling. Dad stands abruptly when I hang up. This is some kind of joke. You can't possibly have acquired Bancroft. It's $1 billion company. Lexora Systems acquired controlling interest in Bancroft Tech as of 3:17 this afternoon. I state, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Dad snatches his phone from his pocket, frantically scrolling through emails. This is impossible. Some kind of mistake. Austin and Tanner exchange worried glances, suddenly intensely interested in my career. Mom nervously fingers her napkin, eyes darting between Dad and me. Let's all have dessert, Mom suggests, her voice high and strained. I made your favorite apple pie, Mark. No one acknowledges her attempt to diffuse the tension. Dad's phone rings, displaying his superior's name on the screen. His hand trembles as he moves to answer it. You might want to let that go to voicemail, I say quietly. He's calling to terminate your position. The phone continues ringing as all eyes turn to me. I stand at the threshold of the dining room, watching as understanding dawns on my father's face. The black envelope in my hand might as well be a loaded gun for the power it contains. This must be some misunderstanding. Mark Carter's voice rises half an octave. I refuse to believe this. You can't possibly have acquired Bancroft. His fingers drum against the polished mahogany table, a nervous tick I've never seen before. My mother wrings her cloth napkin between her hands while Austin and Tanner shift in their chairs, suddenly interested in the pattern of their dinner plates. Sierra, my father continues, straightening his shoulders, if you've somehow tricked investors or gotten lucky with this tech hobby of yours. It wasn't luck. I say quietly. I'm sure Sierra will make sure your job is safe, Mark. My mother interjects, her voice thin with anxiety. Family comes first, doesn't it, dear? My father's face flushes crimson. He pushes back from the table, the legs of his chair screeching against hardwood. No daughter of mine would undermine her father's career. His index finger jabs the air between us. If this is true, you're no longer part of this family. The words hang in the air, the ultimate threat that once would have crushed me. Now they feel like freedom. I stopped being a Carter the day I realized you'd never see me as equal to your sons. I placed my driver's license on the table. I legally changed my surname to Wells 2 years ago. My brothers exchange glances. Tanner whispers something to Austin, who shakes his head in disbelief. I slide the black envelope across the table. These are notarized documents proving my ownership of Bancroft Tech, effective as of 9 o'clock this morning. My father snatches the envelope, fingers trembling as he tears it open. His eyes scan the papers, growing wider with each paragraph. I built Lexora Systems from nothing. I continue, my voice steady. I worked 2 jobs to fund it mornings at a coffee shop. nights coding until my vision blurred. Not that any of you noticed my absence. Austin starts to speak, but I raise my hand. For once, he falls silent. My platform revolutionized how nonprofits manage their donor databases. When investors saw what I'd created, they recognized my vision for acquiring Bancroft, a company with outdated systems and leadership that refused to innovate. Mark's face pales. The papers slip from his fingers, scattering across the table. I didn't do this to hurt you. I say, surprised to discover I mean it. I did this to finally exist without your permission. Now wait a minute, my father begins. I raise my hand. For once in my life, you will listen to me completely. The dining room falls silent. This room where I was always relegated to the background, where my voice was perpetually drowned out by louder men. I walk deliberately to the head of the table, my father's traditional place, and stand there, resting my fingertips on the polished wood. The executive home you're so proud of, I say, looking around at the vaulted ceilings, the expensive art on the walls, the one you've been bragging about to all your golf buddies. It's now legally my property. That's ridiculous, my father scoffs. This house belongs to Bancroft, not... I withdraw another document from my briefcase and place it before him. The property deed with my name. All executive homes transfer with ownership of the company. Austin's face drains of color as the implications sink in. Dad, does this mean... It means your family stability was built on corporate property you no longer control. I finish for him. Tanner runs his hands through his hair, a gesture so reminiscent of our father that I almost smile. Jesus, Sierra, what are you going to do? The power in the room has shifted. They're all looking at me now, really seeing me for the first time. I savor the moment before answering. I'm prepared to offer you a severance package. I tell my father, it's contingent on your public acknowledgement of my business acumen. A statement recognizing that your daughter built something substantial enough to acquire your company. Mark stares at me, his mouth working soundlessly. The great Mark Carter, speechless at last. Rumors are already circulating at Bancroft about the mysterious new owner. I say, gathering my briefcase. People are wondering about major restructuring. Will you let us stay in the house? My mother asks quietly. I don't answer. Instead, I place a business card on the table as I prepare to leave. If you want to discuss terms, call my office. For once, you'll need to wait for my availability. As I turn to go, my mother follows me to the door. She catches my arm, her touch light as a butterfly. I always saw you, she whispers, her eyes damp with tears, even when he didn't. I look at her, this woman who witnessed my erasure for years and did nothing to stop it. Seeing isn't enough if you never speak up, I tell her gently. Then I walk out the door, leaving them all in my wake. On the presentation day, the executive boardroom falls silent as I finish my presentation. 20 pairs of eyes remain fixed on me, waiting. A year ago, this moment would have knotted my stomach with anxiety. Questions? I scan the faces around the polished mahogany table, my voice steady, hands rise. Not with challenge, but with curiosity. They lean forward, eager to catch every word as I address their concerns about our non-profit support expansion. When Aaron from marketing starts to interrupt Linda from operations, I raise my hand slightly. Let's hear Linda finish her thought first, I say. Linda's surprise melts into appreciation. I've made this a standard practice, now ensuring the quieter voices speak before the room's natural dominators take over. The mentorship program for overlooked employees has become my signature initiative at Bancroft, with 3 success stories already moving up the ranks. Later at my desk, Rebecca delivers my afternoon coffee and places a pink envelope beside it. Special delivery from your niece, she says with a smile. Inside is a handmade card covered in glitter and wobbly letters spelling, "The best boss ever." A stick figure with curly hair stands beside a building labeled Auntie Sierra's Company. My throat tightens. I clear my schedule for 15 minutes and dial my niece's number. Did you get my card? Emily asks immediately. I did. It's the most beautiful card I've ever received. I tell her, meaning every word. I'm putting it right here on my desk where everyone can see it. When we hang up, I place the card in a silver frame next to my computer, not tucked away in a drawer like my childhood creations. That evening, Thomas arrives at my office with a nomination form for the Women in Technology Leadership Award. The committee has you shortlisted, he says, sliding the paperwork across my desk. I scan the form, then open my drawer and retrieve another application I completed earlier. I'm nominating Jenna from our development team instead. Her work on the accessibility features deserves recognition. Thomas raises an eyebrow. You deserve it too, you know. I smile, feeling a calm certainty. I don't need it. She does. The following weekend, Rebecca, Thomas, and my VC partner Charles gather in my loft. Champagne glasses clink as we celebrate 1 year since the acquisition. To seeing people for who they truly are. Charles toasts, his eyes crinkling at the corners. I wouldn't be here without you believing in me, I admit, allowing the emotion to surface in my voice. When no one else could see me, you did. 2 days later, I find myself driving to a modest ranch house in a retirement community. My father requested this meeting, his first outreach in months. He opens the door himself, looking smaller somehow. The executive swagger gone, replaced by a hesitancy I've never seen before. Sierra, he nods, leading me to a kitchen table cluttered with newspapers. He pushes a manila folder toward me. Inside are dozens of newspaper clippings about Lexora's success, Bancroft's turnaround, my speaking engagements. I've been following your work, he says, eyes fixed on the table. We're expanding our nonprofit support into European markets next quarter, I offer, watching his reaction. He nods, attempting a smile. I always knew you had it in you. The lie hangs between us, but I let it pass. When I leave, he steps forward as if for a hug. I extend my hand instead. He takes it, understanding the boundary. As I drove away from my father's house, I wondered if some relationships can ever truly heal, or if maintaining respectful distance is sometimes the healthiest outcome. Is forgiveness always necessary for personal peace, or can we find closure without returning to the way things were?